Oh, there it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 16 of Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness. I'm your co-host, Atusa, and my other fabulous half, Hollis. And today we have a special guest for you. She is one of the co-authors with me on the book Creativity is Whatever You Want It to Be, which I have in paperback. There you go. She's showing her copy. You can also get it on Kindle, and the links are on all our social medias if you go anywhere there. Mayra is a certified hypnotherapist, and she is the founder of Be Out of Your Mind, and she is the happy mom of a new puppy that you hear in the background that might be joining us on the show. We'll see if she is going to be letting her mom do this without her having to pick her up. But Mayra, we always have fun on our interviews. This is, I think, our third one. It's been fun. So welcome on the show. And before you get started, I just wanted to mention again, our chapters in this are so similar. The messages are so similar. Even I found, like, you have the Be Out of Your Mind, and I have the Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness. Same thing. And it's amazing. Like, two different people, ages, everything different, but so much similarity.
Yeah.
So please share a little bit about yourself. Tell us what bullshit you had to say goodbye to get to where you're at.
Such a good question. I agree. And honestly, I think any teacher is kind of saying the same thing if they are based on truth, like truth. I think we're all trying to say the same thing, just being said in different ways with different stories and different messages that will resonate with different people. So I think that's true. And I saw that, as I've started to finally read the other chapters, I'm seeing very common themes amongst a lot of the chapters, which is, I think, what makes the book actually very like cohesive and good. So my bullshit, I think it's similar to everyone's bullshit. I think it just shows up in different ways, but it is who did I think I should be and what was I supposed to do? And for me, growing up with, I guess, like financial struggle and all of that, not a lot of extra money. We never went hungry. We're never homeless, nothing like that. But, we were always, not enough money, and all this stuff. For me, it was so important to be financially stable and to be successful career-wise. And then what I talk about in the chapter was I also had this thing, which I thought I had like very consciously said, I'm not doing that, but who I was supposed to be as a married woman, right? Like kind of catering to my partner, being available or whatever. And I was like, I'm not like that. And I consciously would like not do that. But then I realized, but you stopped going to the gym, you stopped writing, you stopped reading, you stopped drinking tea, you stopped doing like all these things that were your thing, you stopped. So then obviously I kind of was falling into this narrative of who I needed to be as even a wife. So that was a lot of I guess we're calling it bullshit. I mean, of course, some of that is really good. I mean, it helped me get multiple degrees and, financial stability, even to now to where I'm, I quit and I'm still able to be good because of the choices that I made financially really early on. So, I mean, it's not all bad, but it's just at the end of the day, like, hello happiness, right? Like that part of it. Are you happy? Right? We're all still, even as we let go of some bullshit, we still are kind of dealing with other levels. We're kind of constantly there, but it's really like, where's my happiness? like that's now my priority. Like what's my happiness level? What would make me even more happy? And so it's really more playing along those lines rather than do this and then hopefully I'll be happy. It's like, no, I'm going to be happy first and then I'll play with the rest of my roles in life and, you know, things that I kind of have to do or want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna get to, because you talk about that in your chapter. Again, I know I've talked about it and other people have, and it's part of that. How did your intuition, because you talk about that in your chapter as well, your intuition, your guiding system, your truth, how do you use it? How do you communicate with it to make sure you follow your happy path, you follow your happiness?
Yeah. I'm big on emotion. So how does it feel for me? And that could be, and you know, I think we all feel our emotions differently. You know, sometimes like I haven't got this in a while because I feel like I'm pretty much like flowing well. And so it's a little bit more subtle, but I remember at a young age having feelings like that gut wrenching or that throat tightening or that like all those things which were like obvious like red flags of like that's not the right path, or it's not or maybe it's just not the right thoughts that you're thinking, like the thoughts that you're thinking are not serving you. And I of course like I would dismiss them with my logic, and just try to figure it out mentally, and that never worked. And so I was just perpetually in my head. And whenever I tell people like, oh, I wasn't really happy, they're like, but you looked happy. You know, like you were partying, you were traveling the world. And I'm like, yeah, but I was like seeking something, you know, versus now it almost looks like I'm living the same life, but it's like I'm now finding myself, my grounding, my happiness, and then I go do the travel, the partying, the fun.
Yeah.
So it's really just taking control of my emotions, I think is the first thing. But as far as intuition, that's still something that I'm playing with. Like what is it? How to tune into it, all of that. It's something I'm still playing with, but I think where I'm at right now is understanding that my intuition is just me plus. So it's not, I think I used to think it was some sort of like external source, you know, like super consciousness, you know, like there's kind of those ideas. And that I was like going to receive, you know, kind of like God speak to me, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought that's what my intuition was, but it's like, it's just your truth that like without the blocks of but that's irresponsible, but that's not the right thing, but your mom said you should do this, but so and so is going to criticize you. Like if you could clear that space out, you just have access to your truth, your intuition. So it's I think I've like now finally simplified it for myself, and it's not this like, so now meditation isn't this like let me receive from the higher powers that be. It's more like let me calm my mind down so that I can hear clearly what's already there. So it's such a subtle difference, but I think that to me is a big difference for like what's your intuition for me, my experience so far and my discovery.
Nice. Hollis, our fabulous publisher, would you like to add anything? Questions?
You know what? When you were saying calm your mind to hear, there was a lot of points that you made that I kind of want to touch on, but calm your mind to hear. So then you're not looking for that outside validation. It's really coming from inside. Mm-hmm. It's that whole thing of going inside, which is what we need to do, which a lot of people are so uncomfortable with because it may not feel good because you may have to dig through some ick because you have to get through, like you're saying, the emotion. You have to feel. Yeah. And we're not always comfortable with how we feel. And we may not always know how to decode what that means. And if I feel angry, does that mean that I'm angry at everything? Or does that mean that I'm angry at one thing? Or what is it, or all of that. But I just really like how you just said, calm your mind to hear. That was pretty powerful.
And I think I knew that, but I was, again, trying to hear something from outside myself rather than understanding that it's available. The information's here now. It's not coming to me. It's not me trying to, it's like, it's here. It's me just being chill enough to be able to access the truth, or to see the blocks, right? Or to see the truth of my blocks, or, whatever it is, whatever's like, I guess, important at the moment. And it's always different, whether it's like a new idea or just calming understanding, or it's, oh crap, I always thought it was that person's fault. But actually, I can see now in this stillness how I was playing a role in this relationship, or stuff like that. Like, I get all sorts of different information, whether it's just like a kind of reality check, or a see things from a different perspective, or a wouldn't it be fun to do this? Today, to be honest, I didn't have time to meditate. I did have time. I just prioritized other things. So I shouldn't say I didn't have time, but I prioritized other things. But I did have a drive, which to me, that's almost, like, I just put calming music and I just kind of asked a question, which was like, I want to find words to help me settle into this new vibration that I feel like I'm kind of tapping into. And I want to settle into that. And so that's really what came to me during, I guess, today's meditation / drive, which was just words that helped me solidify my new stance. So it's like, it's not big, like, aha. Like, I think when we think about intuition, it's like, is it this job or is it that job? Is this the man? Is this and it's like, sometimes it's just little things. And I think that's another thing where I've like started to step back, because before it was like huge goals, massive decisions, and I was like, intuition, help. And it's like, if I'm not practiced, that there's no way I can tune in. And so I was kind of thinking I was hearing my intuition when I wasn't. It was still like a lot of mess. So now I'm learning to kind of play with smaller things and saying, I just want some words today, or I just want a better understanding, or I just want to feel this, or stuff like that. And I think that's like helping me build that relationship and that strength with what is my intuition? How do I receive, I guess, quote unquote, or tap into this? So it's an art, I guess.
Well, what I find too is that a lot of people, the reason, first of all, at the beginning, they might not be listening to their intuition and not following the truth, is also has to do a lot with they trying to still validation from the outside, that they want that validation, acceptance, approval. Am I doing this right? Am I comparing to the other people in my life or out there?
Mm-hmm.
And then they shifted to that it's validation from, like you said, up above, the source, God, universe, what is it? That they're like, they look to that as their intuition, that can you validate this somehow? Can you tell me, but really it's, again, still everything's from your inside and that awareness that's coming in. And as long as there is a subtlety to it. And I love that you touched on that, because it's really, it's more of a movement. It's easy. It's not hard. It's just, you got to go and get in touch with it and feel it. And I tell people, start using it for like really stupid, mundane stuff in your life, so you get that kind of feel for it, that it's not loud. It's not, like even the food you want to eat, the clothes you want to wear, the direction you want to take to school, work, wherever it is. Should I go this way or that way? Even when you're going on a walk, on a hike, do I want to go left or right? So things that your brain doesn't get too attached to it, but then you can easily just discern what that internal voice feels like, sounds like.
Yeah, one game I guess I've been playing is when I drive, if it's a multi-lane situation, I'm like, okay, like let me know if I need to switch lanes kind of thing. And sometimes, yeah, it'll be like, okay, move to that one, but it doesn't make sense, right? Because it's like, well, I feel like the one I'm on is still going a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, it's like just this is like the playing around with it. So it's like, okay, then I move, and then I see, oh, okay, like a few minutes later, or like seconds later, it's like, oh, that lane got stopped because, something like that. And so then I see that. Or sometimes I was doing that and I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'm like avoiding a crash or something like that. Like I was so dramatic, right? I was like, oh, I'm being guided away from like some massive disaster or something. And then I was playing that this weekend and I moved to the other lane and I was like, and then immediately the thought came like, why do you always have to think that you're preventing like some sort of disaster? Like what if it's, and then what happened was when I came to the stoplight, I parked right next to a car that I was actually like, we have similar cars. And so then we started talking as soon as the red light happened. So that if I was behind this car, I wouldn't have been able to have the conversation. So I moved. So we had this really fun. And then I had my puppy. So it was just a really fun 15-second exchange. So it's just sometimes guidance it's just to your path of most joy. Mm-hmm. It's like, could I have had the ride without the 15 seconds? Absolutely. Did I lose anything if I didn't listen to, my intuition and source? No. But was my drive that much more better because of this like really fun little exchange or whatever? Like nobody does that at a red light. Nobody just stops and like immediately looks and starts talking to the person next. Like that doesn't usually happen. So, I think that was just my inner guidance, just saying like, sometimes I'm just guiding you to have more fun and not to prevent a disaster, like, because that's what you've been asking for, fun, joy, bliss. So yeah.
I love that.
Exactly. I was going to say something. Fun is a big part of intuition. For anybody listening, you got to start having fun.
Yeah.
Because it does not work. I sometimes use my intuition, like when I misplace things. It's like, where did I put that? Show it to me. Where is it exactly? So have fun with it. Use it for anything.
I would start with fun because, same. I was just, like I said, I was doing it for really serious matters or financial decisions. And it's like, it's good. You should do it for everything, but it's like to build it, like do it for things that aren't that serious.
Yeah. Because we get so attached. We get so like, and like you mentioned in the beginning, it's like that whole like closing up of things. It's like this tightening. Yeah. So if you're that emotionally attached and you're like waiting on it and you're like, when is the money going to come in? Everything is like all tightened up and you're not open to things. So it's those baby steps. I love that. And I've been listening Tusa, I've been thinking more awareness to your bullshit meditations when you present it in the space. And as I've been taking walks and what was I doing the other day? Eating, really being aware as I was eating and giving gratitude for, wherever it was coming from and everything. It just feels so different. And the other day, I think I don't know, remember if I mentioned it in this space, but when I was walking, it was like one of those downloads that just came that said, release the old Hollis.
Ooh.
And I was like, whew, okay. Like that's just kind of what I heard from my higher self. I'm like, or wherever it came from, I'm like, yeah, that was just walking around my neighborhood. And I just kind of took that as just release this kind of so serious, like not taking joy first. And all of these other things that came along with old ways of thinking. And it was powerful. Those 10 seconds were powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awareness, honestly, the thing with meditation, again, for those of you that missed it, go to our summit page for creativity. Is We all have our interviews and workshops on there. Mine was on no bullshit meditation. But meditation is just awareness. I mean, the whole day you can be in state of meditation if you are just aware of you inside, your emotions, your actions, your avatars that are coming out and playing, and all that stuff. As long as you're aware, and anything you do, if you put that awareness in it, is meditation. You don't need to make time for it or do anything like that. And also, as we're all, I think, saying the same thing, once you start in that path and you are more aware, then also you're more able to tune in to your intuition, to your own guiding system, and see and higher self. You get the messages you want. You get those words, like Mara said too. The words come to you. Those things that you need to release. See, everything comes, and fun is another big one in there that I think everybody misses. We take life too seriously and
Oh my
just add some more fun into it. So the other thing, I love that poem. So what made you, at the end of the chapter, you have a really beautiful poem. So it's called A Foreign Place by Mayra Leen. So what made you come up with that? I like that.
So that's the first poem I ever wrote in my whole life. And it was probably just like a year ago, maybe less, 6 months ago. To be honest, the whole chapter, it was not planned. Like nothing about it
Yeah.
was. I never even thought, everybody, or, we've been talking about the stories about the boots or whatever, because that's how I start my chapter. I had never even expressed that story. I mean, I don't think I had thought about that. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So like the whole thing I feel like was just kind of inspired and all of that. And I just felt like adding that in, one, because I felt like it was my first poem. So it's kind of important to me. But it also does have all of the themes of everything that I talk about in my chapter, which is where it's kind of a metaphor, the entire thing. So it actually has a lot of symbolism and things like that. And so I like it because it's like, okay, the chapter is very like straightforward, like just giving it to you. And then I love poems because they just allow you to reflect and take whatever you want from it. So it's a little bit less prescriptive than like, be out of your mind, follow your bliss. That feels like step one, step two, like it's a little bit versus a poem is just, you just kind of sit with a poem. There's nothing to do. There's nothing, no task, no takeaway, but you just can I think receive or, just take away whatever you need from it. So that's why I like poems. And
Yeah, it brings a different message, and it does close it kind of in nicely of all those things that you mentioned in there. And I think it's great that we're talking about intuition and that fine tuning of it. And we're also saying that once you start down that road and you're aware and you're in touch, then everything happens in divine timing and divine order. Because again, the whole process of, I think Hollis can speak to this, how she found all of us or we found her, and how our stories,
yeah.
it wasn't supposed to be like that, but it has the message. So stop worrying about what it's gonna be like, what you're gonna receive. Have fun, follow that soft voice inside, be aware, and it's gonna get you to where you need to be. And when you need to get there, you're gonna show up.
Yeah. I guess, do you guys want me to share with you what I received today? Like, as far as,
Yeah.
Yes,
it
please.
was an analogy, because what I was saying, of course, I'm huge on manifestation. Like, I believe, I mean, it's actually true. At this point, it's scientific. So I always say I believe because I don't want it to, whatever. But, reality is preceded by vibration, right? So vibration, emotion, ideas, action. and then results, right? So then we get reality. So there's kind of this natural flow of creation. And I've been thinking about the things that I want and what is the vibration, the essence of it, right? So that I don't get too caught up in the details. And I just spent a week and a half in Austin. I love Austin. My family's there, so there's so much love. And I've been thinking, like, I really want to just be surrounded by this. And then I was thinking, well, what is this, right? And then that's when I came to, like, oh, it's that love, it's that appreciation, that full acceptance of my family. And so then I guess I just thought about that after I left and why I wanted that. And so today's message was about the love, because I think about my grandmother and my mother specifically, because we have deep love for each other. And I guess the universe or my intuition, kind of the message that came was, right now you are in Chicago. Does that mean that love is not available to you? And it's like, well, no, of course they love me. Just because I'm not in Austin doesn't mean that they're like, forgot about me, don't know who I am, and don't care. They still love me. So the love's there. We're just not, touching, feel, it's not a physical manifestation. And the next kind of logical thought was, if you wanted to be in Austin, could you make that happen? I'm like, yeah, I can. I could just book another flight. It's not a big deal. It's not going to be instant. It's not going to be like next second, right? But can I make the arrangements to get back to Austin as soon as possible? Absolutely. That's not difficult. But why don't I want to do that? Because there's other elements in my desires and in what my teacher calls like the vortex, right? In like this place where I've put all my desires. There's not just my relationship and this deep connection. There's also a house where I can call my own, and it's going to look a certain way, and I have interesting projects to work on, and I have this and I have that. So like that's just one element. And I think that's what we do when we're trying to manifest. We focus on that one thing we want, and the universe is like, yeah, I mean, if you want, we can make that happen like now. But the thing is, like, there's so much more that you've asked for that you don't even realize, that we're making it all happen for you. And that requires kind of the letting go and the trusting the universe and the perfect timing that you guys were talking about to help it all unfold beautifully. But is it available right now? Yes. Can it happen? Yes. But don't you want it all? And don't you want it to unfold in such a like pleasant way? And also, like, it's not going away. So I think that was a part that the universe is trying to tell me, like, what I want in these other realms, it's like the love of my mother and my grandmother. It's not like, well, if I don't get back to Austin in the next month, they might not love me anymore. It's not like that. It's like, that's always going to be there. So there's really no need to be freaking out here or need to, and to just basically like relax. It's all coming. It's all available right now, kind of. So if you think about love, it's not something you can touch or feel, but it's exists. And so like, so does everything else. But of course we want to play with it, right? We want to have lunch, and we want to have it in the bank account, and we want to park it in the driveway, right? Like we also want that, but the essence of it is there, and the fun and the freedom and the excitement and the eagerness and the creativity around it. It's all there. And so I think just kind of settling into like the essence of what I want is here. Do I have access to it? And just kind of feeling your way, I think, is the message I received today.
That's a wonderful message. That's a really good message, because I think it's important for people to know we've become so in a society of instant gratification that everything has to be now, and I must have it now, and I must feel it now. That it's important to know there are other venues even that you can feel that. Something I always talk with my clients is that, all those walls that you worked so hard in building and putting up for yourself, for your protection, And also those things are what's blocking things flowing to you. All those things that you want, you've put it out there, but then you've sort of built this alleyways and small turns and twists, and it has to come through this route and it has to come this way to get to me, and if it doesn't come this way, you're not. So the more you sort of put it out there and then let it go and break your walls and be open to receive it in whichever shape or form that it's coming to you. That love that you want, open it up. There's so many ways into receiving it. There's so many, even, go out in nature for a walk. You're going to feel that love. You're going to feel that connection. And yes, the exact way you want it to, that will happen as well. But in the meantime, if you just open those channels and have more ways that it can flow to you, I think it's great.
Right.
Hollis, go ahead.
No, I think what you're getting to is so critical to manifestation that usually people overlook that part, but it's getting to that essence of what you want, why you want it, and tapping into it now, which is what you're saying. Like, okay, I think usually when people talk about manifestation, it's always money, or not always. That's where we start, and then we go to the relationship, and then we go to the house and the car, and then whatever, and then those projects. And but like, if we talk about money, because I think that's something that even those who have a lot still like, well, why not? Let's have more. Why do you want it, right? Is it the sense of freedom? Is it the sense of stability? Is it the sense of ease? And then finding that somewhere else so that you're in that vicinity of it. I think that's what you're saying. And it's just so critical to start there, because I think that's where people kind of give up a little bit quickly in the ease and letting go, because they're like, but they're trying to work hard, or they, like you were saying, they try to make it happen this one way that they can perceive. And that's hard, because when you get stuck in one way, that's limiting. And then, you don't allow the universe, you don't give room for surprise and delight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love how, I just want to touch, and I know we're about to close, but what you mentioned about love and how that feels. I think it's important to bring that up, because I like the layers of it, and recognizing that when you feel a certain kind of love, and I don't know, I kind of correlated to like almost like a safety. Like with your mother and your grandmothers, there's this feeling, and you want to feel it more, and it feels like a safe space, and you feel like somebody cares about you, and you feel nurtured, and all of these things. And would you look at that baby?
The big baby.
She's so freaking
baby.
But I think it's just so important to recognize that, because it's kind of like you could pick up and like run home and be like, I'm going to live there, and I'm going to be right next to them, and I'm going to pick up my life, and I'll just do what I'm doing there. And yeah, that could be one way you could go if that felt fully right. But at the same time, I think it's important to recognize that it does. And just because you're feeling it doesn't mean that that's the way that it has to be. It can.
Because that's exactly my thought. I'm like, I am totally free to be and live anywhere that I want. So I'm like, okay, so I'll just, but then it's like, but yeah, there are other pieces. And it's like, that's just where it's like, just let it go, because Austin's not going anywhere either, like, it's not like if I don't move.
But it's gratitude for that. Like, you have that.
Yeah.
And not everybody does have that. Right. Maybe they have it in different ways. So it's like, oh my God, I am so grateful that I have that in my life. And those options are there.
Yeah. Yeah. And another quick tool that has helped me, just for those looking for practical stuff, is just, so I just did this for the first time yesterday, which I've heard my teacher talk about it so much, but I finally did it. But just like on one side of the paper, write satisfied, on the other side, write unsatisfied. So it's not the best ever and the worst ever. It's just satisfied, unsatisfied. And just go through your thoughts about a subject, like whatever it is, and write, is this thought satisfying or unsatisfying? And just write it out and just kind of see where more of your thoughts fall. And if you if it feels good, maybe spend a little bit more time in the satisfied, because there is so much to be grateful for. And I was actually surprised because I did it on a subject that I thought, well, I'm not too happy about this. But I did it, right? I was like, let me fix some of these thoughts that I have around this topic. And my dissatisfied was maybe 3 or 4 long, and I didn't have enough room for the satisfied. I'm like, there's so much going right here.
Wow.
I can't even believe, that I was even complaining about it, if you will. So yeah. So just a little another fun thing to do.
Nice. Well, a lot of good points here, guys. We talked about intuition, how to get in touch with it, love and awareness, and there's so much more that we can talk about. We're a little over our time limit, but I think we're gonna pick this up another time and have another interview. All the links are in the post. Go ahead, find her on LinkedIn, Instagram, and we have her website on there. And we also didn't get to talk about Be Out of Your Mind, and that was something I was going to put out there. But the link to Be Out of Your Mind is on there as well. Yes. So check it out. We're going to have her back on the show and talk to her again. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.